Howdy.
Howdy.
I'll probably wear this shirt now every time we have a program.
You need a hat with a.
I need a hat with it.
With the name tag, with the
Oh,
price tag.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mini Pearl. Yes,
Howdy.
you're right, you're right. Well, it is our state official greeting. That was one of the things the legislature passed this year. No, but no, we're done. It's the other stuff that's harmful, so good. So, change for change bucket in the back. If you haven't already, any loose change you got, throw it in the bucket. It's really been a good campaign for us to help finance our expenses. So, thank you. We have a new VP of Programs. I'd like her to stand up. Adriana Romero. She comes with excellent credentials, and I hope you get a chance to talk to her this afternoon. We've had great turnouts at our rallies. On July 17th, that was the John Lewis Get Into Good Trouble, hot, sticky morning, 8 o'clock. We had over 200 people on the court. Just remarkable. Thank you all. On July 19th, 2 days later, another hot, sticky morning, we had over 100. So that was remarkable to get that many people out 2 days the same week. So thanks to George and his rally team. George, thank you very much. I think George had a message for us about LD19.
I won't go up there. I'll just have you turn around. We have some really good news. We have 2 candidates now that have confirmed, one for the Senate and one for the House running for LD19. So we will have them come speak to you, but in the meantime, we are helping them get started with all kinds of training. They're both from Santa Cruz right now in Sierra Vista area. We've got 3 other people that are interested in running. So I think we'll have all 3 of our slots filled, which is great.
Wonderful.
But we will need your help. We are working on getting some billboards up in LD19, and for those who don't really know, we have 5 counties in LD19: Cochise, Graham, Greenlee, Santa Cruz, and Pima. So we cover a large territory. That's why we're trying to get billboards out to the audience.
Let me take a few minutes.
You don't like TLA?
Yes. POTUS, SCOTUS, BLS, I get confused, I must confess. DOD, BG, HR. Do you know what they are?
No.
Why can't we use the words instead? Then I'll understand what I just read. As it is, I begin an article and then I have to read it all over again. When did this all begin? That using words would be a sin. In our youth, we had 4-H, FFA, and PTA, but nothing like the numbers today. Don't you sometimes want to shout, I have no idea what you're talking about? I'm afraid acronyms will be the norm, so I may as well conform. My name is Sandra Jean Stone, so I guess from now on you can call me SJS. TE, the end. So, with that, I'd like to introduce our speaker from Yodo. There we go.
You stole my joke.
Well, it's worth repeating, I'm sure. Her name is Brittany Smith, and she is the Associate Director, Development and Communications of the Youth on Their Own. Yodo. Brittany.
Yeah, Sandy, so much. As soon as you started talking about acronyms, I was like, well, YODO's an acronym. But it stands for Youth on Their Own, but it is commonly referred to as YODO. Although I have heard some people mess it up and say YOLO, which means a completely different thing. So, anyway. YODO has been around since 1986. We were founded in Pima County at Amphi High School by a counselor there. Some of you may know Ann Young. She was hearing about some students at the school that were staying with other people, weren't with their parents, and were just kind of going through some rough times. And that was kind of the impetus for her to get together with some friends and some people from her church and try to create something to help those students. That was almost 40 years ago, and we are now in over 100 schools in Pima County. We served over 1,500 youth last year, and it's much bigger than what it was in those early days. But our mission is to support the high school graduation and continued success of youth experiencing homelessness. So who are Yodo youth? They have to be living on their own. So not necessarily entirely on their own, they can be living with other people, but they have to be living without their biological or adopted parents. The reason that they are on their own is usually because they're forced to leave unsafe living conditions or because of poverty in the home that meant that their parents couldn't take care of them or something like that. They must be attending school. Our mission is tied directly to education. It's what we do. So to be eligible for our program, they do have to be enrolled in school. Every once in a while, we'll hear from a youth who isn't currently enrolled in school, and we will help them get enrolled in school so that then they can get our services and also be in school. They are experiencing homelessness by government or Yodo definitions. So the government definitions usually are that they have moved locations in the last 2 weeks, or they're imminent for eviction in the next 2 weeks. Our guidelines are a little bit broader, so ours are up to 6 months, just so that we can be helping more youth and make it so that they potentially don't have to move to another location by getting assistance from us. So stats are a little difficult to nail down because the youth that are experiencing homelessness by our definitions aren't necessarily out on the streets. So even though there is a point in time count done every year, it's not really the best count for the population of youth that we serve, because it's more of going around and counting people on the street. And that's not going to capture the data exactly for us, but our estimate is that there are 2,700 youth that are experiencing homelessness and on their own in Pima County. And about 1,500 of them were served by us last year, and that we're anticipating that number to remain about the same. So only about 52% of homeless youth will graduate from high school. And youth experiencing homelessness are 4.5 times more likely to be homeless in adulthood if they don't finish high school. So these are some of the reasons why we really think it's important that our program exists and can help these students so that they can graduate and not experience homelessness in adulthood. But our graduation rate in 2024 was 93%. Don't have the stats yet for 2025, but the last several years it's been in the high 80s, and this was our highest ever. So we're very proud of that. So we do 3 main things. The first thing is that we provide a financial incentive for youth to go to school. So we pay them to go to school. Every month they can submit for a stipend from us, and it varies based on their attendance. The more days they go, the more money they can get from us. It used to be tied to grades, but we realized that wasn't really that important. Actually, we want them to have a diploma. We don't care if they're on a roll. It's not going to make that much of a difference in the long run. The diploma is the thing we want them to have. The second thing that we do is provide basic needs items. So we have our mini mall where they can get food, school supplies, hygiene products, all those basic kind of things for free from us. We don't want them to have to use the money we give them for cereal and toothpaste. So we make sure that we meet those basic needs for them. The last thing that we provide is guidance and support. So we have a team of staff that work directly with youth to help them with various things and get them connected to other resources, stuff that we don't do, that other agencies in town or other nonprofits we know about do. So our program is not a one-size-fits-all. We actually have 3 different tiers of services, and it's based on the youth situation. So when they enroll, they tell us details about what's going on with who are they staying with, and we put them into different categories based on those things that they tell us, and it affects how much money they get. So it's not just how many days they go, it's also what that tier is of need that we put them in. It used to be a one-size-fits-all, but we had a lot of data that said that was helping some youth a lot, and it may be more than they actually needed, and not helping others enough. So that's why we went to this system. So this is a little hard to follow, but this is our academic stipend based on the tiers and based on the days of school each month. So if they attend school 85 to 100% of the time and they're in the max services, so the highest level of need, they can receive $350 a month during the school year from us. And then it goes down from there. Last school year we had an 85% stipend participation rate and 71% platinum achievement, which meant that they missed less than 3 days of school a month. So those are also numbers that we're really proud of as well. So I mentioned basic needs. We have our mini mall. We also have an online system so that youth who can't get to us, because Pima County is such a spread out place, and we're located in Midtown Tucson, but we serve youth all the way up in Marana, down in Vail, down in Sahuarita, and it can be really difficult for them to get to our location. But once a week during the school year, we deliver things directly to the school because our program's based on their school attendance. They're supposed to be at school, so we bring those things directly to them there. About 78% of youth last year utilized our mini mall, and we distributed over 200,000 items. And it was pretty much an even split of whether they came to us physically or we delivered those things out to the school. So our caring couriers is what we call our volunteers that make those deliveries once a week. These are just some of our lovely staff members who are the program coordinators that work directly with the youth and help them navigate what they're going through. We also have an alumni program. So after youth graduate high school, several years ago it used to just be you got your diploma, we gave you an extra bonus check to celebrate graduation, and then they were done. And we realized that really wasn't setting them up for success, and we wanted to help them kind of get to the next place. So we created our alumni program. They no longer can get the academic stipend, but they can still access the basic needs support through the mini mall. They can still come to the mini mall and shop. And then we work with them to plan for their futures and get to where it is they want to go. So we have our pathway support. We talk to them about the different options they have. We have really great connections with Pima Community College, U of A. We actually have, we moved to a new location about a year and a half ago, and we have more physical space. And one of the things that we were able to do in the new space is we actually have someone who works for Pima County who offices with us 3 days a week. So she is someone who, her job is to get people connected to the county services for job trainings and hiring for the county too. Like, she can share different job opportunities and job trainings that the county offers, and she does that in our office so that she can do that for our alumni youth. And it's about an 80-20 split of the youth we serve, whether they're in high school or lower or alumni. So about 60% of our youth are female, and these numbers tend to be pretty consistent year over year. And then our most common ages are 17 through 19. So 58% of our youth are between the ages of 17 and 19. That just tends to be when youth kind of get to a point where either their parents kick them out or they choose to leave an unsafe situation. That just nationally, that's the data that's around the time when that tends to happen. 1 in 4 of our youth identify as LGBTQ+. Another 1 in 4 of our youth are parenting or caregiving. So that might be their own children, that might be younger siblings, it could even be elderly relatives that say you can stay here, but then they end up taking care of that person. And 91% of our youth are Black, Indigenous, people of color. There you go, another acronym for you, Sandy. So one thing I wanted to bring up with you all is the McKinney-Vento Act. We've been talking about this for pretty intensively the last couple of months. Is anyone familiar with the McKinney-Vento Act?
No.
I see a couple people.
State or federal?
It's federal. So the McKinney-Vento Act was passed in '87 under Reagan. It was a bipartisan act at the time, and it supports education for homeless youth. And the 3 main things that it does is provide transportation assistance so that youth can stay at the school they're enrolled in. It really helps create stability for them. That's the people they know, that's their community, and if they have to live somewhere else, it just really helps that they can stay at the same school they've been at. It also allows them to enroll in school without their vital documents, and then the school will then help them get those vital documents, but whether that be a birth certificate or vaccination, proof of vaccination, that kind of stuff, the McKinney-Vento Act allows it so that youth can enroll in school without those things right away, and then they can get them later on down the road. And a lot of our youth don't have their own paperwork, their own birth certificate. It's just the nature of their situations. They're either lost or maybe their birth parents do have them, but they don't live with them anymore, so they don't have them. And then the school districts, especially in Tucson, the bigger ones, have a McKinney-Vento liaison. A couple of the school districts actually have a few that helps identify and enroll youth into the McKinney-Vento services, and then also helps those youth enroll with us. We identify a lot of our youth through the McKinney-Vento liaisons that work for the districts. The McKinney-Vento Act is not going away itself, but the money is being cut as part of the Department of Ed cuts. So it's not entirely going away per se. It's just no longer going to be dedicated funding. So it's one of the things that they're saying is going to be a lump sum for Department of Ed things that would then be up to the state to decide how they want to use the federal money they get. But the overall money that used to be dedicated to this is such a tiny amount in the grand scheme of the Department of Ed budget that it's just really sad that it's probably going to be cut. I actually don't know the exact status today because it's one of the things that was supposed to be maybe considered in appropriations committees, but ultimately we tried to advocate for a while for folks to reach out to their federal representatives to try to save dedicated McKinney-Vento Act funding, but I think what's going to happen is we're going to then have to advocate at the state level. after the federal budget is finalized. But I just wanted to share with you all, since you are civic-minded individuals, that this is what it is. Because honestly, before I worked at Yodo, I didn't know what it was. And it's really, really important to the youth that we serve. It does not affect our funding, but it affects the youth that we serve and the services they can get. And it may end up influencing our enrollment next year. Because if these liaisons, if their jobs get cut at the district level, it might mean we have a lot harder time identifying youth that would qualify for our services. And it also could mean that youth that we would serve maybe even don't enroll in school because they no longer have that support of they can enroll without those vital documents and things like that. So anyway, that's just my little advocacy moment of the day. Other ways you can help us. We are currently in our back to school challenge time. Believe it or not, some of our schools are already back in session. Vail is already back, and a lot of the other ones start back just a couple weeks in August. So we are currently in the middle of our annual back to school challenge. We have a $20,000 match. So the first $20,000 donated will be matched dollar for dollar by a generous donor. We are an Arizona Charitable Tax Credit organization. These are this year's tax credit amounts. You can also shop for our mini mall. A lot of groups like to do that. We have the list for our back to school challenge on our website. We also have an Amazon wish list that you can just buy stuff on Amazon and have it shipped directly to us. And then really we just ask everyone who does hear about Yodo to share what you've learned with others, just to let them know that we exist for donations and support like that. But also if there's ever someone that's got a kid sleeping at their house for a while that might qualify to help them enroll as well. That happens a lot, that we run into folks that say, oh, actually, I have someone staying with me, my son's friend, or, various things. So that is my spiel. What questions do you have?
Political plug. This is why it's so important we flip and get candidates, Democratic candidates in our district elected. Question for you is the budget just came out, and there were some good things in the 25 budget. Was there any funding for your programs in the education department?
So we do not get federal funding. We haven't.
It's a state.
State, okay. State, I actually don't know. We get county and city money. So some of that probably is at some point along the way. But I don't know specifically if the budget, how that may have affected it. We don't typically get money directly from the state either. Like I said, we get a little bit from the city and the county.
Okay, who had their hand up? You're down.
I did.
All right.
Where's your office located?
We are at 2525 North Country Club Road. Country Club just north of Grant.
Oh, nice central location.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to come by, I'd be happy to give you a tour.
Yeah, I just was curious, what's the youngest that you...
So the youngest that we serve is middle school, about 12 and 13 years old. Usually they are younger siblings of someone else that's in the program that's taking care of them, or a recent graduate. And there's only about 40 to 50 youth in the middle school side of things for us.
Yeah, what volunteer opportunities do you have?
So most of our volunteer positions are an actual job shift. It's like a 4-hour shift a week. And we have some folks that have been with us for a long time. So they are rare when they come open, actually. But they do things like they get the orders, the online orders, and they go around and basically shop for the student and package that all up. We have our caring couriers who get their routes of the schools that they go to and deliver to once a week. We also have folks that staff our donation center so that when people come to drop off donations, they're the person that greets them and helps them bring stuff in. And we do have some pop-up opportunities. We call it Busy Bees, where you just come for a couple hours, and that's not a long-term commitment or anything. And you can just come and maybe package menstrual products or whatever we need at the time, which is why we call it Busy Bees, because it's our honey-do list.
Question about I'm thinking about the courier service,
Yes.
and I'm thinking about the person who's the courier, then dropping off the items at school. Do they get training on how to handle that situation, or do they drop it off to the liaison?
They usually drop it to the office or the liaison. So all of the schools that we work with across Pima County, we have someone who is actually a volunteer for us that we call our YODO liaison at the school. And they are usually a counselor or a social worker or something like that, who they are our point of contact at that school. They know about our program, they help youth get connected with us, and then they also help us distribute the items to the youth. So they're who we deliver the stuff to, and then the students come, at the end of the day or between classes to that staff member's office to get the things that they need from us that we've delivered to them.
These kids who are homeless, but you're saying they have a place to stay. Where are these kids when they're not in school, where they can do their homework and things like that?
Yeah, so, we call it couch surfing, but a lot of them, that is the situation. They have somewhere to stay or live, but we hear from a lot of them that the person says, like, you can stay here, but then they're still responsible for their own needs. Maybe they're contributing to a bill of the house or something as a kind of their rent payment for them, or things like that. But so very, very few of our youth are actually homeless, like what you think of homeless, on the street. Most of them do have, like I said, somewhere to stay. It's just maybe not the same place today as it is in a couple months' time. And then our stably housed youth that are that kind of lowest need level tier, a lot of them do, that's more consistent. Again, I mentioned like an elderly relative or something, that person's not going to kick them out. So they're not as likely to be kicked out or evicted or anything like that. So that's why they're in our like stable tier of like, they don't need as much support from us because of that. Some of them do have their own apartments and their own rent to pay. We do serve youth 18 and older too. Quite a few of our youth are maybe behind in high school credits. So they haven't graduated high school yet, but they are 18. So the situations vary. There's like every possible scenario I think exists probably. Sorry, right there.
You mentioned donations. What kind of donations are you looking for?
So donations for the mini mall, we have shelf-stable foods. So like cans of beans and ramen and mac and cheese, a lot of like basic foodstuffs, and then hygiene products. We ask for full-size shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, toothbrushes, paper goods like toilet paper, paper towels, and then school supplies. So backpacks and notebooks and pens and that kind of stuff.
Good afternoon. Do you also work closely with our family services because they have their reunion house?
Yes.
That is actually for homeless young people?
Yeah, so Reunion House is the only teen shelter actually in the state of Arizona. So they only have 30 some beds. So youth under 18 can stay there, but on their 18th birthday they have to leave. So, and a lot of our youth, we hear that from them once they are 18. The shelters are an option, and there are more shelters once they're 18. There's more options there. But most of them don't feel comfortable going there because it's 18 all the way up, you know, and a lot of the people that are in the shelters have a lot more serious problems. And so it's just not comfortable for the, you know, they're trying to go to high school still, and there's just a lot of going on in the shelters. So they try to avoid it if they can. So that's why they end up staying on somebody's couch, because they'd rather do that than go to the shelter.
So do any of your students have any of them used the library service, which is the Career Online High School, which does provide a high school diploma rather
So the way our program works is they can be in an online school, but it has to be affiliated with a Pima County school. So we do have quite a few youth that are in online schools, but they do have to be affiliated with a Pima school. It can't be online, their physical office or location is somewhere else. Oh wait, sorry, the mic, he has the mic.
Yeah, you've developed quite a successful program and evolved along the way and served a lot of students in a large county with a big city. I'm just wondering if you provide any startup assistance. I'm thinking especially rural counties. I realize that would be a challenging model, but are you willing to work with other
So, yes, we have refined and changed our program over the years, and we are constantly trying to make it better. We grew a lot during COVID, and we introduced the tiered system. We introduced our online portal. We did a lot of stuff during COVID that was a big changes for us. So we just started we just completed the first year of a 3-year strategic plan. That this strategic plan, since we did just go through such a big growth cycle, is a stability cycle. So we're trying to really nail it all down, make sure we've got all the policies and procedures as good as we can get it, so that after this strategic plan we could potentially scale up or go be franchised elsewhere. The options, we're not really sure what would make the most sense yet. But it is something our board's been talking about it for a long time. It's on the horizon, but we're not sure exactly yet what it looks like. And we are, we were homegrown here. For a long time it was just Amphi High School, and then it broadened out. And it really was because of Ann Young and the connections she had. And once people saw that Amphi, it was working at Amphi, then TUSD got on board, and it really kind of was a grassroots thing that happened. But we have a lot of data now, so we do think that it would be an easier sell potentially to a new location. So
you're just here in Pima County then?
Currently, yes, we are just in Pima County.
I'm wondering, after they graduate, how much help they get finding jobs and finding places to live.
So we have our alumni team that, whoever wants to stay on in alumni, they can. So once they graduate high school, they're eligible to enroll in the alumni program, and our alumni program coordinators work with them for all of those things. We've had quite a few FAFSA workshops the last couple of years, another acronym, for federal financial student aid, to help them, because actually that got better for our youth just last year. The FAFSA got simplified, so it used to always ask a lot of questions about parents and what parents' incomes are and all those kinds of stuff, so that to see what federal funding they're eligible for college. And it's way easier for them now to say, I don't live with my parents, I haven't lived with my parents, and it simplifies the process. And so we We want them to know it's easy to do, but they have to know exactly what to click and what to say on that form. So we've been doing that. We have quite a few youth that go on to Pima Community College, U of A. We have others that, actually one thing I forgot to mention, one of our alums that I'm sure you all have heard about recently is Deja Fox. So Deja actually graduated from Columbia University, and she was a Yoto youth. She graduated high school in 2018 and then went to Columbia and just ran for Congress.
She's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the girls. Do you have a lot of girls who, get kicked out because they get pregnant or something, or they have a child? Do you have any special services for that?
So yes, there are quite a few youth that that is the reason they're, I told you 1 in 4 are parenting or caregiving, and a lot of times that is the reason that they are not with their parents anymore. And if they're parenting and they have other, they're not only taking care of themselves, they're taking care of other people. They usually automatically qualify for that highest level of need, so they get the most amount of money from us. We actually just started a parenting group, so it's kind of like a, it's not quite therapy, but it's like just, a peer support group kind of thing for parents, youth parents, and that's new. We didn't used to have space to do stuff like that, but since we moved, we do have space, and so that's one of the new things that we've been offering. But we will help them get connected to get registered for things like WIC and for like the diaper bank, and there's other stuff in town that's what they specialize in, and so we'll just make sure they get connected to those things. We want to kind of stick to what we do and let other people do their specialty, and we just make sure we get the referrals and let our youth know that those things exist.
Are you affiliated, is it a national organization? Because I've heard of Yoto in other places.
No, we're only right here. We own the copyright to the name. We're just right here in Pima County.
Well, my son lived in New Orleans about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and volunteered for youth on their own there. Because that's the first I heard about it.
Okay, well, I don't know. I've never heard that before. We're just right here. So,
how does this differ from CASA?
So CASA is court-appointed special advocates. So those are volunteers that get specialized training to represent foster youth when they're going to court. So they are the person that follows a child through any kind of custody agreements or custody disputes with parents. For DCS they're the person that is there to speak on behalf of the child and make sure that the child's wishes and the child's being heard throughout that whole process. We do serve some foster care youth, so some of our youth might have a CASA because they're in the foster care system. We don't serve that many of them, so it's usually a very specific case where their social worker through DCS will tell us, or their case manager will tell us, we know this isn't a great situation, we know they're not getting what they need in this home right now, we're trying to get them switched out or moved somewhere else. In the meantime, can you all help? And we do step in those foster care
So it's a
situations.
coordinated effort between the two of you?
Yeah.
Anybody else have another question? Who do you more interact with at the superintendent's level, Pima County or the state?
The county. So and actually with the schools directly. So like TUSD, AMPHI, all the different school districts, we have different relationships with them.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Appreciate your coming. It's just remarkable to me that these children find the need to go on to school. And of course, you encourage them. You know, for a lot of us, school was really tough, but I lived at home. It wasn't that tough for me. My brother, though. He would hide behind the couch when the school bus was coming. And I was all about 5 years old. Mom would say, "Have you seen Bob?" "Yeah, he's right by here, you know, right behind here." But anyhow, I can't imagine living on your own and overcoming all of those issues. So, God, wonderful organization. Thank you very, very much.
We could